everyone. So I am Dennis. I am a student ambassador with the Office of Admissions, and I'm here with Susan today. And Susan is going to share a little bit about herself and her experience at Iliff so far. And Susan, would you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Susan Filene. This is my third year at Iliff. I started in the chaplaincy program, but because of some experiences at Iliff, I've changed to the MDiv program. When I did that, I found I have 10 years to finish, and I'm going to take all 10 years. So this is year 3
Yeah.
because I'm having a good time. I'm 80, so I'll be close to 90 when I finish. And that doesn't seem to bother Iliff at all. So I'm very happy about that.
Well, we're happy that you're at Iliff.
Why I didn't actually choose Iliff. I feel it was serendipitous. I had been at a potluck dinner with a neuroradiologist and invasive interventional neuroradiologist was the host. And I sat at a table with a bunch of doctors. And one of them said, I really like being in the hospital. And I remembered, I moonlighted in psychiatry in a general hospital. So I was running all over the hospital doing that for many years. And I thought, I really like being in hospitals too, working in hospitals. And how could I do that? I'm a psychiatrist, I'm still practicing. And I thought, well, I don't really want to be on a psych unit again. That's a lot of hard work. So I could be a chaplain. Then I Googled, what do you need to do to be a chaplain? Most of the answers were, you need an MDiv, you need to go to divinity school somewhere. So I thought, well, the closest place to me, less than a mile away, is Harvard Divinity School. So I called them up. They wanted me to send them some things like transcripts. I mean, this wasn't formal at all. And then they implied, they didn't say it outright, but they implied, and I recognized this, that possibly at my age, the program would be too rigorous for me intellectually. I wasn't surprised about that because back when I was 33 and decided I was going to become a doctor, I went to Harvard Medical School admissions office and asked them what I needed to do. And they said, don't even bother trying. You're too old and you're a woman. So basically they said I was too old again. So then I decided to look up. I mean, there are a couple other places here. Andover Newton has moved, so that didn't work. BU, I didn't want to go into the city because I did that for medical school. Okay, so I get online, I start looking for places, and then I find out there are places that are really online places. A lot of them are Baptist, so ruled all those out. And pretty soon, scrolling through, I see this one in Denver where my son, daughter-in-law, and grandkids live, just outside of Denver. And I called them, I got the materials, but it turned out in about 3 weeks, I was going to be out there taking care of the kids while parents traveled. And I called up Daniel, who sort of walked us through the process. And he had one day before he left on a trip that I could visit. And I happened to have that day free out there. Right. So I thought, well, this is pretty good. Yeah. And I sat in on a couple of classes and got the tour and had lunch with a student. It was just lovely. It wasn't one of their official times for students. And I decided to go there. Like, this is really good. I have a place to stay. My son works for Frontier. I have a free flight. This is really gonna work out. I had no idea really what theological school was about or divinity school was about, but I thought this will be good. And then I started and I got into We were so lucky because I was, at least, that first class was Food, Faith, and the Land, one of those classes we had to take.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that was right up my alley. I
Yeah.
have an urban farm here. Um, and then getting into Dr. Todd's IPVC class was just fantastic. And it actually changed my whole thought of what I was going to do, because towards the end, we had one question that was, if I could, I would. And we had to write an essay starting that way.
Yeah.
And because I'm old and semi-retired and comfortable, I could write, I can and I will. And I just started in, and I thought that everything that I wrote down was not about being a chaplain. It was about working on the earth and working on my urban farm and sharing how to do that with people. And so that's where I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And we both were in Dr. Todd's class and in Food, Faith, and the Land. And I must say I've had similar experience in the transformation that those classes offered. And I remember your excitement, especially in Food, Faith, and the Land. And when we went to the farm and picking carrots, that was really really
That was such a good experience. And also it was wonderful to me to see that there were people who didn't quite know how to harvest carrots.
oh.
And I had something to offer, like, this is where you did. Yeah. And I've just found that Iliff has been so welcoming and so interesting and actually so much fun.
Right.
And our retreat that we had, it's really sad that because of COVID, the next two classes haven't had that, but that was powerful for me, that retreat we had, our class. Yeah. It was set up so well.
Yeah. And it snowed that day. It was we were all inside. We couldn't even do much outside. So yeah. And how has it been learning online for you?
At the beginning, it was very intimidating. I had to buy. Well, I went twice. I went the time I mentioned, and then the more formal time when they were having students who were interested. And I sat in a class then too. And I noticed that almost everybody was using a Mac. And most of the teachers were using Macs. And I'd just been sharing a desktop with my husband. So I decided I have to buy a Mac. And I did that. And I really didn't even turn it on until about the day before the first class. I was just so intimidated, but I had to learn that.
Yeah.
And I liked the online. And I like it that during COVID, Iliff was all geared up to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't any big problem. I might mention that once COVID started, then I got a lot of reach outs from the Harvard Divinity School asking if I was still interested in applying, because I think maybe their enrollment suddenly dropped off for new students. But I said, well, nope. I like where I'm at.
Yeah. It's my first year I did, the Journey program, and I think that was because it's the first time I did like an online learning, and it was such an easy program using Canvas. And yeah, it was really nice to see how it's set up and easy for everyone, I think, to use and navigate all your classes and
Yep. Yeah, I like that. It's quite amazing. I had another challenge this year in this recent term in theology, because we had to do PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to do that and upload them and make them.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
With technology. And after you've been in a class with people, different people a few times, and they, you keep getting into classes with people you already were in classes with. Pretty soon you start having these conversations in in your discussions, which are nice. You know who you're talking to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like it.
And I think now with COVID, I think we've had more Zoom sessions for classes where we're not just writing posts and we don't know who we're responding. It's nice seeing faces and having those conversations.
It is. Yeah. The Zooms are nice. Let's see, Mark George last year, Hebrew Bible, he had an office hour, which was nice because people who were interested in Hebrew Bible dropped in every week, every Thursday on a Zoom.
Yeah.
That was nice. I suggested to Dr. Bao, but then he said he thought it was unfair because some people can't come at that hour and they miss out on that. So he's not doing it, but those kind of things are good. And the professors the teachers are also reachable.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody answers,
Yeah.
Yeah. And the IT is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first time I had to post my PowerPoint and get it onto Canvas, I was clueless basically, and they just got into my computer and showed me how to do it. And yesterday I did one on my own, so that's good.
Yeah. And have you used the library resources? Have you had to use that?
Well, I have used it to look up papers and parts of books. Remember when we had that Michael Hemingway, I think, did it that day with the other half of the class.
Yeah.
And we learned how to use the library and Zotero and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I have never had any much luck with that. So I found something called JSTOR, where pretty much any paper ever that has been written is available. And Iliff is, has signed up with that. So I use that. Yeah. But what I do use a lot, and I can't believe we have this wonderful service, is the Writing Center.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if you want to write a book, Dennis, when you're writing your thesis, Dennis, Jeremy will be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to write. I'm a pretty darn good writer, but I just love it that we have this service. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm taking a writing theology with Dr. Garber, and that class is just, I wish I had taken that class like my first quarter, because it's just amazing with Dr. Garber, and he's providing individual feedback. It's not like he'll just do a general response to the postings. He's responding to everyone individually and guiding you on how to even improve your writing further. And
I know he has. He's really helped me a lot with improving. I mean, because before this, professionally, what I've been reading and writing is medical.
Right.
And that's like fact, conclusion. That's it. I don't want to hear any more. Basically, and he really has helped a lot with that. I send him every rough draft, and then I send him my final before I pass it in.
Yeah. I've been doing that too, because and most of my papers at the end of the quarter, I'm getting a really good grades on them and really good feedback from professors, because I utilize that service of the Writing Center, and it's very helpful.
It's free and it's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Iliff. Yeah.
And if you were to tell a prospective student about Iliff, what would you recommend for them, or to consider if they're debating between a few other I guess theological schools? What would you recommend them to consider, or what can you offer them from your perspective about Iliff?
Well, I think first I'd want to know where they were aiming, but I would talk about how diverse it is, how open the faculty is to new ideas, to anybody's ideas,
Yeah.
how welcoming the place is.
Yeah.
And the fact that I think Iliff's doing a really good job. And we talk about it in this course because we had to read Jennings' book for this
Yeah.
course. I think they're doing a good job at letting people be who they are and pursue the way they want to go and use the resources and degrees in ways that are going to be helpful to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Susan, for sharing your experience with Iliff.